I the a-hole for refusing to leave my friend's flat even though it disrespected his girlfriend's boundaries? Plus update. I, 24, female, moved abroad with my boyfriend after graduating university 18 months ago. One of my best friends from uni, Callum, 24, male, returned to start his PhD and is living in a shared accommodation block. I was visiting my family back home this weekend and had arranged a day to visit Callum and see my old uni town again, and then had planned to go to the airport from there, as it's way nearer than my hometown. Callum had offered me to crash on a blow-up mattress on his floor, and I very happily accepted rather than shell out on a hotel. When I got to Callum's place, he had invited his friends in the block to hang out, and I met his new girlfriend Hannah for the first time. They've been together a few months, but we hadn't had a chance to meet yet. I liked her loads at first, and thought she and Callum were super sweet together. I've known Callum for ages, and I'd never seen him this happy. When the group started to break up for the evening, she asked me where I was planning on staying for the night. I was surprised that she didn't know, and told her what Callum had offered. She then took me outside and asked me to please stay somewhere else that night, as she felt uncomfortable with a female friend staying in his room. I didn't really have anywhere else to go, so I said that unless she could help me with a hotel room at this late stage, I couldn't really go anywhere. She then said that I was disrespecting her boundaries with her boyfriend, and that in any case, now she was going to stay with Callum, and it would be inappropriate for me to be there. She lives in a neighboring block, so I asked her why she couldn't just return there, and she said she had a right to decide which women get to share her boyfriend's room, especially if it's an old female friend who I don't know if she's had history with him. To be clear, there was no history there at all on either side, and I told her this, but she said she had no way of knowing if I was telling the truth. Again, I refused to leave. We had arranged this ages ago, and she couldn't just undo that last minute unilaterally just because she was his girlfriend. And with that, I went back inside and we said nothing more on it. I stayed the night on the blow-up mattress and left really early this morning. I'm at work now and just got a text from Callum asking if we could call this evening, because he just got a text from Hannah saying that I disrespected her boundaries and that he needs to cut me off. He's one of my closest friends and I don't want to lose him, so I'm wondering if I should apologize. My boyfriend thinks that this is ridiculous and if anyone needs to apologize, it's her, but at this point I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. This was pre-arranged, and it's not your fault that he didn't tell her/clear it with her. She could have offered you her apartment if she wanted to stay with her boyfriend and her room was going to be empty. Also, he could have gone to stay with her if she had such an issue. It boils down to the fact that he did not communicate this to her. It's not your issue to deal with. Be honest with your friend when he calls. His girlfriend has probably not told him the full story. I think the even bigger point is that Hannah didn't communicate with Callum. Why was she the one to take Opie aside and ask about the sleeping arrangements? That's a conversation Hannah should have had with Callum, and, if he thought it necessary, Callum should have conveyed to Opie. Not the a-hole. You've got nothing to apologize for. You didn't hide anything and were transparent. If Callum didn't tell Hannah because he knew she would react badly, that's his issue. It's a pretty big red flag that Hannah's already trying to control who Callum interacts with. And if he starts cutting off people she doesn't like, I suspect even his family will soon be on the cut-off list. Hopefully someone will manage to get through to him and Hannah will be sent on her way. Yeah, and has she even said something now? It sounds like all Callum has heard is disrespected boundaries but no details, which is super weird. I mean, of course Hannah's entitled to have her boundaries respected in a relationship, but the person to talk to about that is her boyfriend. As in, hey, it makes me uncomfortable if you have female friends sleeping over in your room. Can we agree not to do that? OP, I would just give a basic explanation when you talk to Callum later. Something like, hey, I'm sorry if there was some kind of misunderstanding. Hannah came to me last night and said she didn't want me staying in your room, but it was way too late to find a hotel at that point. So I told her I couldn't. That's it. $10 says he'll be surprised because she was making it out to be some much larger thing. Not the a-hole. Now for the update. Thank you to everyone who commented. I read it all. Quick clarification. The offer was never to share his bed. It was always the blow-up mattress. That's our own boundary. The building has no communal area other than a lobby, so I couldn't have slept there. Callum and I called, and I did what a lot of you said. 1. Not apologize, and 2. Just lay it out exactly as it happened. I even read from my post. The big surprise? He had told her in advance, and she had said it was okay. As I commented, I had assumed that they had discussed it on the night, but my later guess was correct. She had said nothing. He then said that when Hannah texted telling him to cut me off, he told her that he wanted to talk to me first about what happened, and then she ghosted him. He apologized profusely to me and said that he needed to talk to her ASAP. A girlfriend of Callum's friend, Sarah, who was there, messaged me after we called because she read this post and thought it was me. She told me that she's in a group chat with some others at Hannah, who had been ranting about how I had taken her outside to tell her that even if she was Callum's new girlfriend, I was his real girl, because I was his best girlfriend, and that she shouldn't think about coming between us, and that I told her that Callum might be hers now, but he'll always be my Callum? Sarah then told me that this happened twice before, where Hannah's told Callum that a girl he was friends with needed to be cut off, and she would then tell the group chat they had said things like, "You're no good for him, we'd be better together," etc. Sarah now suspected Hannah was making all this up. So I called Callum again and told him what Sarah had said, and he was very upset. Most of the time, Hannah hadn't really given him a reason to cut off these other girls. Just that if he respected her, he'd trust that these girls needed to be cut off because it's girl code. He talked to Hannah in person this morning, and she confessed that she made it all up, about me and about the other girls. She didn't want other girls to even be an option for him to be close to if they were going to be in a relationship. So she persuaded Callum into breaking off the friendships. And he didn't want to lose her, so he complied. Her words? "I wanted to save you from the opportunity to put another woman above me." He's not had a great experience with previous girlfriends being really emotionally distant, and I think Hannah was the opposite, in that she would lavish him with affection when he did things she wanted. Not surprisingly, he broke up with her, and has now apologized to the other girls and again to me. So, to summarize, Hannah was manipulating and lying to everyone around her in order to keep Callum away from basically any woman. Callum found out. They broke up. We're friends again, and he owes me a drink next time we're in the same country. It always speaks volumes when your partner tries to isolate you from your friends and support. More people need to listen to the deafening warning in between the lines. It's the most common form of domestic violence. It's also by far the most common form used on men by women. And it's so normalized that it's joked about regularly. There was an attempt in the UK a few years ago to make it fall under the same laws as other DV laws. But it quietly vanished as more men came forwards talking about suffering that style of DV. She would lavish him with affection when he did things she wanted. Classic control tactic / love bombing too. I feel bad for Callum. Dude needs to learn that emotional distance and manipulation are not the only two romantic options. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Hannah's behavior is just worrying, and only after a few months. Aside from attempting to isolate Callum from friends, she seems jealous and insecure. The kind of person who believes men and women can never be friends. The lying about what was said just takes the cake. Drama queen. Did you pick up the love bombing too? She would lavish him with affection when he did things she wanted? Also, you can see the subtle narcissistic vibes in "save you from the opportunity to put another woman above me." Save you, as in you need me to make a decision for you cause you need saving. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for throwing away my girlfriend's dad best friend's t-shirt? Original post. I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. I have been with my girlfriend for a couple years and we live together. My girlfriend lost her best friend of 10 years her senior year of college. They had gone through a lot together, but the best friend had some untreated mental health issues and she lost the fight against her depression. My girlfriend was the one who found her. They lived together at a time. This caused my girlfriend to spiral. She wound up helping the parents go through her stuff. She now has a box of old journals that were her best friends. They had a pact that if one dies, they wouldn't let anyone else read them. Too embarrassing or something. A t-shirt, some art she had done, and a bunch of scrapbooks. My girlfriend was in a dark place for a long time. I met her a couple years after the incident and it's taken time, but she has gotten better. She was and is in counseling for grief and other stuff. She used to talk about a friend constantly, but now it's down to every once in a while. Now, generally when I clean, I take stuff and put it in a bag and tell her to go through it before I throw it out. Today, I was going through our closet and was making donate/throwaway piles. I asked her to go through it when I was done, but she had a lot of work and said it was probably fine. She generally doesn't care too much about her clothes, and I think she was overwhelmed. Well, I threw out the stuff that was worn and old, ripped, etc. Then after I showered, my girlfriend came yelling at me demanding to know where the t-shirt is. I asked her what t-shirt, and she said the one belonging to her dead best friend. I asked if she lost it, and she said no, it was in the closet. So then I said it might have gotten thrown out, and she just started screaming at me. I said I asked her to go through the piles, but she said no. But then she said that it should have never been in the piles, given how much she has talked about a friend and that apparently she told me the story behind the t-shirt. I don't recall it. I knew there was a story and I knew there was a t-shirt, but I never paid enough attention to which shirt. Well, she has now taken the bag to her brothers. I just don't get why she is so upset. She has all of these other things to remember her friend by. A t-shirt isn't that big of a deal. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Yordi A. Hall. I was on your side thinking you just honestly effed up with no ill intent until I got to your last two sentences. Yep, I was thinking exactly the same. Possibly honest mistake until you make clear that you don't even understand why your girlfriend is upset. You're the a-hole for not taking your girlfriend's own words about her own feelings seriously. Once I read that she apparently slept in the shirt all the time and he still thought it was okay to throw it away, I started to doubt it was an accident. Even if she didn't have an emotional connection to that shirt, why would you throw away your girlfriend sleeps in all the time unless it was damaged? And even then, why wouldn't he check with his girlfriend about that specific shirt? I don't believe that he didn't know what the shirt was. You're the a-hole. You went through the closet today while she was working, while she was busy and overwhelmed, and you wanted her to double-check the pile. This happened today and your girlfriend informed you today that the shirt was missing. Did you go look in the bags? Did you attempt to find a shirt? You have made it clear you do not care about the shirt. In the years you have been dating her, you never noticed which shirt it was. You never paid attention to what she was sharing with you. A t-shirt isn't a big deal to you because you don't care. It is a big deal to her. Go find a shirt. This. He could have at least given her the weekend before tossing or donating on Monday. Who the heck does something like this and expects someone to drop everything to check within 24 hours on a weekday? And now he's being dismissive about it? You're the a-hole. Update. So with my last post, I figured I owed you guys an update. I had apologized at the time, but I didn't think I effed up that badly. At this point though, some of this stuff felt excessive. I was the one going through our shared closet because we have been doing an overall deep clean of the apartment. As far as getting rid of her stuff, I was only throwing out stuff that was clearly ripped. She was aware this was happening. I did try to get the shirt back. By the time I got out there, the trash had been picked up. I called the company, but they said it was gone. After reading some comments, I called the best friend's parents. My girlfriend still goes over around the holidays, and briefly explained what happened. They said that over the past year they have been downsizing, and they went through her stuff and half got donated, but the other half was sitting in her sister's attic in a box if I wanted to ask her. I called the sister, told her what happened, and asked if there was anything she would be willing to let my girlfriend have. She said she has a couple sorority shirts that she would be willing to give her, and apparently the friend had 2 necklaces and she would be willing to give my girlfriend one. I said that would be great. I talked to my girlfriend and let her know where to send it. I drove to the brother's house to talk to my girlfriend. When I got there, I hadn't even gotten out of my car before her youngest brother and cousin came out and just started screaming at me. Her cousin said I had no right to have any opinion about a best friend, that she was some amazing person and I had been so disrespectful about her. He then said that if her best friend were still alive, she would have talked my girlfriend into dumping me years ago. I felt that was uncalled for. Her brother started telling me to go to hell and that I was always jealous of the best friend and that I need to get off his property. I tried to explain I was here to fix it, but he wouldn't even let me see my girlfriend. Apparently, she's in a rough shape and had to take days off work because she's having some kind of meltdown. So I left. I got home and I got a call from the sister. I picked up. And I don't know what my girlfriend told her, but she laid into me and said I was some unforgivable a-hole stumping all over her sister's memory. She said she would be more than happy to send my girlfriend the items we talked about, but to her brother or grandmother's house since I can't be trusted. A couple hours later, I got a text from her saying it's over and she's breaking up with me. Her brothers came by an hour later to get her stuff, and she's now refusing to take any of my calls. So for those who hoped she would dump me, you got your wish. I couldn't imagine breaking up with her over this, especially since we were together almost 3 years, and she can't even answer her phone to dump me. I remember this post. The OP has deleted his post and comments, but if you read the original post, you can see he had commented that his ex-girlfriend slept in that shirt a lot, so he definitely knew which one it was, and it was not a mistake. He complained that she talked about her friend a great deal, and he didn't like it. That's important context that completely changes my view of Opie. Even the story from his perspective makes him sound like a monumental idiot. Honestly, it sounds like the t-shirt thing was the last straw for her. It seems like her family had disliked you for quite some time. Based on UOP, which was written from your perspective, so presumably is the most flattering version of this story for you. You don't sound very considerate of her feelings. I'm also not convinced that you're telling the whole story here. I get your ex having visceral reaction to something so sensitive, and even her brother and cousin trying to be overprotective. The friend's sister's reaction suggests that you left something out of the story when you called her, and I'm betting you left it here as well. Well, breakups suck. You live and you learn, I guess. Edit. Actually, your story doesn't ever make sense. You say that you were throwing out anything that was old and ripped, but you threw out a shirt that she wore on a regular basis. Why would you throw out something that you know she actively uses? Why do you feel the need to purge her clothes at all? You sound very controlling. Opie responds to the comments further down that he thinks his girlfriend was obsessive and made her take down 6 pictures she had up in the house of her friend. He seems like he's leaving out a pretty insistent campaign of forcing his girlfriend to get rid of various reminders of. Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend be the hero while we were getting mugged at knife point? Plus updates. Original post. My boyfriend is a big hero fanatic and does everything in his power to be like one. It's really endearing, and it's one of the many things I love about him, because he wants to be the good he wishes to see in the world. But this mindset he has is why we are fighting right now. We've been quarantining at my apartment. He's not on the lease, and he suggested we go on a night walk since we've been getting stir-crazy from being inside all day. He figured that it'd be better for social distancing to go out at night. I was hesitant because we live in a bad neighborhood, but he assured me he'd protect me. On our walk, we were cornered by a man with a knife that demanded our wallets. I remembered John Mulaney's Street Smarts bit from the Netflix show and was going to throw my wallet past the mugger so we could run away. But my boyfriend started arguing with him and was spouting off a bunch of stuff about justice and how the mugger wouldn't get away with us. It looked like he was getting ready to fight. I was taken aback by this, and I guess the mugger too, because it gave me enough time to take the important stuff out of my wallet while he was distracted. I interrupted my boyfriend's monologue and said, "Take it, just don't hurt us," and threw it behind a guy. When he turned, I grabbed my boyfriend's hand and we booked it back to the apartment. We got home safely and I was relieved that we were okay, but my boyfriend was fuming. He was angry that I interrupted him from protecting me, when he could have, in his words, clearly handled it himself. I told him he could have gotten himself killed. He said that he was obviously stronger than the mugger and would have won. I explained to him that the guy had a weapon and my boyfriend didn't, so the odds were stacked against him. Not only that, but I don't want my boyfriend to get killed over a damn wallet. We argued for longer than necessary, so I shut it down and told him we could talk about it when our adrenaline wasn't so high, but that I needed to file a police report while the event was fresh. He stomped off to our room while I called the cops. When I was off the phone, I went to lay with him, but he rolled away from me. The next day, he was still angry and had already told his friends and family about what had happened to us. I thought that they would be understanding about how I handled it, but they were mad at me for not letting him have his opportunity to be a hero. His mom even ridiculed me for emasculating him. I want to reopen the conversation so we can understand each other and move past it, but if he isn't receptive, I'm going to ask him to move back in with his mom. I want to understand where I went wrong if I went wrong, but honestly, I feel like he's being childish and unreasonable. I just want to know if I'm the a-hole, or is he? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Tell freaking Justice League over there that life isn't a movie, and that anyone who fights someone who has a knife are guaranteed 100% going to get cut, regardless of if he trains Krav Maga or how many Marvel movies he's seen. I told him 100 times that a fist wouldn't win against a fight, but he won't hear it. I don't understand how the people in his life encourage this. He could have died. They teach you how to win a fight against a knife-wielding assailant in MMA or self-defense classes. You freaking run. Do not play the hero. You do the minimum necessary to be able to make a safe getaway, because even highly trained, you're very likely to be seriously injured, if not killed. And you're right, a wallet isn't worth dying over. Tell his mom there's nothing masculine about taking stupid risks. Take him back to his mother to sulk there, because that's what he is doing. Sulking. He insisted on going a walk in a bad neighborhood at night. knowing the chances of something bad happening are high. He put you at risk, and his response is childish and pathetic. Anyway, how do you know that it was a real mugger, and not a setup to prove to you how hero-like he can be? I honestly wouldn't stay with him. I don't see the hero worship endearing. Just means that he doesn't like himself very much. It's tied into his self-esteem. So when you wouldn't let him be the hero in his eyes, you smashed his sense of self/purpose/self-esteem. He's also sexist as all hell with wanting to save you. Dear Lord. His hero fantasy is escapism at best and damaging at worst. Wanna be Superman needs some therapy. Also, don't listen to all that BS. Your quick thinking got you both out unscathed. Emasculated my butt. Not the a-hole. You know, I really don't think he'd stoop to set up a fake mugger. But at this point, I don't see how the heck he can react the way he is, since this was a very real thing that happened to us. We still haven't talked about what happened yet because he went to visit his mom, probably to sulk like he said. But these few comments are making me reevaluate a lot about his values when it comes to this hero nonsense. I didn't even consider the sexist undertones to everything, so thank you for pointing it out. Also, I hope you're okay. Being mugging is really scary, so please reach out to a professional if you need help in the future. This drama with your boyfriend could be clouding a little bit of trauma, which is a natural response. Thank you. I'm okay. I plan on getting in touch with a therapist and I'm going to suggest he does the same. Now for the first update. I just want to thank everyone who has commented. It relieves me to know I'm not insane. He's still at his mom's house and I haven't heard from him nor have I tried to reach out. All of his friends have ghosted me too, except for one of them who is trying to mediate. If I don't hear from him tonight, I'll reach out tomorrow. I plan on updating in the comments depending on where this goes. Again, thank you to everyone for sharing your thoughts on this. Now for the second update. So, he called me last night and I answered. He asked if I was okay and how I was doing. Then he asked if he could come over, and I said he could. I planned on bringing everything up again myself because he had been very passive-aggressive and refusing to talk about it. But when he showed up, he immediately started apologizing. Everything you guys pointed out, he started agreeing with. He was saying that he was being delusional and realistic, the whole hero fantasy isn't healthy, that it jeopardized my safety and that wasn't okay, etc. I wasn't prepared for this behavior, especially compared to how he'd been acting all week. We talked for hours before we went to bed together, and everything seemed like it worked out fine. I was really on the verge of ending things, so it was a relief I didn't have to in that moment. Then this morning came and crap hit the fan. In my comment update on the last post, I mentioned that a friend was trying to mediate. I texted that friend that things worked out, and they said something along the lines of, "I'm so glad you were able to apologize." Huh? Some people mentioned that maybe it told a different story, which isn't something I looked into, but I decided to ask. And oh boy, I'm glad I did. Firstly, he told everyone the night walk was my idea. Then apparently we were never mugged. Nope. Apparently I just started talking trash to a stranger on the street in an attempt to make him show he was a strong man and protect me. And the only reason we were able to get away was because he de-escalated the situation. And that it was emasculating because he was put in a position where he felt like he was forced to fight for my honor. Are you freaking kidding me? To make a long story short, he tried to play dumb and backpedal this morning when I confronted him about it. And then when I pressed him to be honest, he snapped again and said, "What was I supposed to say?" The whole situation was embarrassing and it was going to make me look bad. We argued again for a bit, but I was just done. I told him to go and that it wasn't gonna work. He didn't have much stuff, so it was easy to put in a spare grocery bag and just toss at him while he angrily left. He's currently outside of my complex waiting for mommy to pick him up. As far as I'm concerned, I dodged a bullet. Screw his friends, screw his mom, screw him. Thank you for opening my eyes, guys. This felt good to read. I'm happy for you. I'm wondering about what his plan was, with putting up the act of being apologetic to OP while having a completely different story to his social circle. Also, if OP is older than boyfriend by a few years, seems like OP has her own place and boyfriend has mommy around a lot. Anyway, bullet dodged indeed. We are both in the same age, but my parents aren't really in the picture. He and his mom are best friends. It was very annoying. He and I don't have the same social circle, so he wasn't expecting me to talk to any of his friends about what happened, which I'm sure is what he was hoping for. Jesus, I literally just saw your first post. Scrolled down and saw the update. You did everything right. You were mature and reasonable and ready to move. This schmuck is embarrassing. Make sure to talk to your friends and be glad you're done with the dweeb. Thankfully, we have separate friend groups. My friends know I'm not full of it like this. Some of them were never fond of him from the start, so they're glad that the relationship is done. Might be petty, but I would tell all those people the truth, so they know what a lying nut job he is. I don't care what his friends think, and they probably won't believe me. I did send his mom proof of the police report and then blocked her number. Don't really want to hear from her or her son again. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he's a bad person? Original post. So recently, my boyfriend got some dental trays for his teeth done. Molds of your teeth, which can be used to put product in to whiten your teeth. He's done this before, but lost his last set of trays, so went somewhere new to get some new trays done. My boyfriend told me that when going to pick up his dental trays, the receptionist just gave him the trays without asking for the payment of them. He then took the trays and left knowing he had not paid for them. The receptionist called shortly after he left and explained that a mistake was made, and could he please either come back and pay for the trays or pay over the phone. My boyfriend lied, saying he was adamant he had already paid before picking the trays up. And it wasn't his fault that they had no record of him paying or that he didn't keep his receipt to prove it to them. He was pretty vocal to me about not wanting to pay for the dental trays if he didn't have to, and that it was the receptionist's mistake and on her. What sparked our argument about this was a car journey where he answered the phone to the manager of the dental practice, who was following up the call with the receptionist. My boyfriend continued with his lie that he had already paid, and it was not his problem that they could not provide proof of this. Now, something about witnessing him lie so easily to this man really bothered me, and it bothered me that he didn't care if the receptionist may get into serious trouble, or even lose her job over this mistake, or that he wasn't losing out by paying as he would have paid for the product in normal circumstances. After the call, which didn't reach any resolution, I told him that was very uncomfortable for me to hear and witness, and that he's a bad person for lying like that, when he knows full well it was likely an honest mistake by the receptionist, and he got a product he didn't pay for. My boyfriend is now giving me the silent treatment, and seems really hurt that I called him a bad person. He says most people would avoid paying for something if they didn't have to. Am I the a-hole? Should I apologize? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole in the least. Huge red flag here. What your boyfriend did is outright stealing. He is also stupid. This is the 21st century. The dentist knows he didn't pay, and the police will know that too when the dentist presses charges. Thank you. It's good to see most people wouldn't do this. This isn't the first red flag of this nature, but this one really stuck out to me. I'm going to seriously reconsider our future. We had plans to travel, get engaged, etc. As it's clear our core values don't match, and I'm almost certain he could just as easily lie in this manner to me. Bad people never think they're bad. They always think everyone else is just as corrupt as them, hence the everyone else would do the same thing line. My awful dad used to say that all the time about his behavior. I've learned to be very cautious of people who say that sort of thing. Not the a-hole. You called him a bad person because he is. Dental equipment is expensive. So that dental tray was in the hundreds if not in the thousands. He lied and knows that the receptionist could be fired over his lie, and doesn't care. This sets up a disturbing pattern. Dump him as fast as you can. And call the dentist. Tell the truth and save your job. I think I'm going to. I'll post an edit update soon. And now for the update. I spoke to the manager of the dental practice. I explained that my boyfriend had been open to me about not paying and that he doesn't plan to. The manager said the letter was already on the way demanding the payment, and if boyfriend fails to pay, then court proceedings will begin. He was thankful I called and knew it was their mistake, but was surprised by my boyfriend's attempts to argue with him. That's a good result for now. I didn't plan on telling my boyfriend as I wanted to end it. There's been too many red flags, so I decided I couldn't ever truly trust him, and I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But before I got to end our relationship in person, I learned another painful lesson. Recently, my boyfriend's laptop broke. This was fine as it was old and he can't work from home anyway as he sells cars, so he's used mine. Earlier this week, I'm on my laptop working and go to check my personal emails. Except my boyfriend's email was still logged in when I opened the web page. I go to log out, but saw the most recent 30-ish emails were all from the same person, a girl. This was weird because who emails like that to converse anymore? I know it was an invasion of privacy, but I clicked onto the emails. I deduced this was a girl from his work. They were emailing because her mobile phone was broken, and emailing him from her work email during the day was an easy way for them to still talk. The emails were flirtatious. They mentioned dates they'd been on. He'd clearly been to her house. They spent lunch breaks together and she thought he was single. The more I read, the more enraged I became. What if I'd never clicked the email? After considering where I could bury him, I decided to remain calm. I called my manager to tell her what I just learned. She's super cool and said to take the afternoon. I then called the emergency locksmith and packed up my boyfriend's stuff. He alternates between staying at mine and his mom's, except for his PS5, which I bought for his 25th birthday last month. With this purge of my boyfriend from my life was ready, I texted him, "I know about Susan. Our relationship is over, and your things are on the doorstep. You must transfer me the money for XYZ. Please don't ever contact me again," and blocked him and everything. A little while later, there's knocking at my door and he's pleading to be let in to talk about it. I can see him, but stay silent where he can't see me. He was on his knees crying, begging, pleading for me not to leave him. Whether they were crocodile tears or not, my heart ached. After some time, he left with his stuff. I felt relief and had a good cry, but I doubt that's the last I'll hear from him. I feel heartbroken and stupid. An enormous thank you to all those who said his behavior was revealing of his character and what he's capable of. I will apply the same vigilance to future partners. I know this is a dodged bullet, but it hurts like hell. Edit, just wanted to clarify some things. I kicked him out of my house. I own it. He's never paid anything towards it. It has no documentation linking him to my house. He alternates between staying at mine and his mother's, with his mother's being his official and primary residency. Weirdly, some of you are really focused on the fact I kept the PS5. I paid for it, have the receipts, and it never left my home. I feel like retracting this gift has had little over a week, because an a-hole tax is morally justified after he's been a 5-star a-hole. And last time I checked, this was a moral judgment, not a legality sub. I think they'd be very different comments if this was the other way around, and he'd just given me an engagement ring, and then found out I was cheating not even 2 weeks later. Yes, it would be mine under the jurisdiction of a gift, but is it morally right I get to keep the ring? Probably not. I noted down the email of the girl my ex was cheating with, in case I wanted to contact her directly. I was thinking of constructing a message explaining everything and assuring her I'm not bitter towards her. Then it's up to her what she wants to do with that info. Thanks so much for all the supportive messages and comments. I am reading every single one. I'm honestly shocked at the amount of kindness. Update. Boyfriend faked death and called my reaction manipulative. Original post. Me and my boyfriend. I'm 21 female, he's 24 male. Together for 3 years. Live apart but have/had plans to rent together soon. Everything's perfect before this. Backstory. I have a history of self-harm. I have done it since I was 11 years old. The last time I did it was 2 years ago. I have some brutal scars, but I'm doing much better and I'm in therapy. It's been a while since I even had the urge. My boyfriend had an ex before me who played mind games a lot. I feel it's relevant as he sometimes thinks I'm playing games when I'm not. For example, he was wary when we started dating that I would self-harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. I don't/haven't ever done this, and despite my struggles, I'm pretty good with being patient and communicative. Until this, I considered us to have a really healthy relationship. Main story. Boyfriend went out drinking with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home 2 a.m.-ish to let me know he is home and safe, but I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot. No biggie. I went to bed as normal. I woke up to 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They live together. I called her back and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kind of worried and told her as much. She said my boyfriend didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. This was super weird to me since I get on well with his mom and would never expect to be told this via text. After some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend had passed away that morning, and I totally shut down. The people I live with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately and I had an extremely bad relapse on my self-harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was just hurting so much, and my usual coping techniques just weren't doing their job. I listened to old voice notes of his and even sent one telling him how much I loved him, through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later saying it was a prank, since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him driving drunk, as well as about him mushing up his car a little. And him and his friends came up with this plan to just make me happy he was alright. So they took his mom's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful he wasn't dead. But I had a million other much stronger emotions. I was so angry he drove drunk. So angry he saw nothing wrong with it. So angry that he would lie about something so serious. And absolutely heartbroken that he let me sit in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad. Plus lots of other things I'm still struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed myself and flew off the handle. He said I punished him and turned a harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun, and now he can't trust I would do it again. He even suggested I stay in hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now, or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I am beyond hurt. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it, I admit. But this was not an everyday bout of anxiety or even a breakup. I thought he died. I'm also very aware that his actions were massively crappy, and he is being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was gone? I absolutely would not react like this if he just broke up with me, and I have never said or hinted at that. Not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. Now for the top advice before reading the update. What a sick joke. You need to break things off ASAP. What a cruel thing to do. I could never even be friends with someone who did this. The worst part is that he did it to get away from the consequences of drinking and driving. He willingly and purposely hurt you to ease the repercussions of his actions. Let that sink in. And dump him, please. He's a piece of trash. He even took his mom's phone to make it look like she was in on it. That takes it to a whole new level of cruelty. OP, I would dump him immediately and tell his mom what he did. Make sure you actually talk to her so you know she actually knows what he did. Please listen to your gut. This is beyond horrible behavior, not a harmless prank. You deserve to be with someone who has compassion and respect for you. If anything, the boyfriend needs therapy. The boyfriend is a horrible person. What he did shows deep character flaws. The drunk driving is bad enough, the more so because he knew it was wrong and chose to do it anyway. But the harmless prank? That's just mean. So disrespectful and inconsiderate, made all the more so by your personal history. And speaking of the accident, did he leave the scene of an accident while he was driving drunk? Or was he late getting home because he got a DUI? He bumped into a fence post, so luckily nobody was injured. But the potential was there as well as the carelessness. I don't know if he was late or not, honestly. I think he planned this almost immediately and not texting me all night as part of it. Now for the update. Long story short, I broke up with him for the following reasons. 1. Drunk driving, endangering himself and others. 2. Took his mother's phone and made me think it was her. Deception. 3. Telling me he was dead. Deception/extreme emotional stress. 4. Letting me think that for hours. I could list every negative trait for that one. Borderline sociopathic behavior. 5. Not being sorry for any of these things. Twat. 6. Telling me I'm too sensitive. Invalidation, shifting blame. 7. Being mad at me for relapsing. Unsupportive, uncaring, unkind. I still won't blame him for the relapse though, as many people here wanted me to. That is on me and I'm still going to therapy regularly for that. So, for those interested, I took a few days to myself. I did speak over the phone to his mom and she was incredibly apologetic on his behalf. I taught her how to put a passcode on her phone. After that, we met up and I outlined the things I listed above. He seemed apologetic and sincere about all of them and listened to me well. Unfortunately, he didn't quite understand that being apologetic wouldn't get me to change my mind on ending the relationship. So his true colors came out at the end. He got annoyed at me for ending it and again told me I was dramatic and other invalidating arguments. Oh well, I said what I needed to say, and that's enough closure for me. Wow, boyfriend is such a piece of trash. What is with people who think faking a death is a prank? Especially committing to it for hours. with a person who has a history of harming themselves when emotions get so high. Why would you do this? This dude makes me so mad. Poor OP. I'm the type that tries to find a silver lining in everything, and I can see too here. She got rid of an unsupportive, selfish, insert bad word, guy. She also figured out a potentially powerful trigger for her to regress in self-harm, so could work on that, as unfortunately death is a part of life she will have to deal with in the future. Glad she left him. What he did was unforgivable. Yep, that is a line in the sand. Absolutely no coming back from it kind of situation. I would completely change how I saw the person after that. I think anyone would. The fact that he still doesn't even get how awful what he did was. It's just the final nail, so she knows she made the right decision. But no amount of apologizing could undo what he did. I could literally never trust that person again. I could never have a fulfilling relationship because of the doubt. All down the drain. If he didn't have bad intentions and is just a moron, that's almost sadder. Part of me thinks his mom tore him a new one, assuming she knew before they talked given the post layout, and thought sorry would get him out all of his trouble. When it didn't, the anger he has from the punishments of his own actions came back up and he lashed out. Personally, I think he needs more therapy than what he's pushing OP to get. Man isn't hinged. I'd 100% blame him for the relapse, especially after the zero remorse. I'd bet if she hadn't self-harmed, he'd have been griping that she didn't really love him. This guy's bad news. Next story. My husband is pushing me to agree to make my sister our surrogate using the traditional way. My husband and I have been struggling with infertility. We've tried some options, and right now we're looking into surrogacy. My sister agreed to do it, but my husband said he looked at how much time and money IVF would take, and slowly started hinting that we'd take the traditional way. I was too shocked to even say anything, but he acted like what he said was not even that big of a deal. He explained that it's just a quick way for us to have a baby and spare the money and time to use later. I'm 100% against it. That is why I'm backing down, and I'm no longer comfortable with the whole surrogacy route. I can't even imagine my sister's reaction once she hears my husband's suggestion. I'm both devastated over the fact that 1, he'd even entertain sleeping with my sister just because he wants the easy way. And 2, if I ever agree despite feeling uncomfortable, then I will always carry this memory of how the baby is conceived. I refused and shut his suggestion down hard. He's now started guilting me, saying I don't trust him, then saying I'm selfish for choosing to back out when he still wants to be a dad like he expected when he married me, basically blaming me for my infertility issues. I feel so devastated, and like my body's useless and has failed me to the point where I could expect any negative comment on it, whether true or not, emotionally and mentally. I just can't express how I feel right now. By the way, my sister is 4 years younger than me. I'm 34 years old and my husband is 37. Now for the top advice. What has your sister said? Do you think they've done it already? OP, you are not useless, but your husband is. My sister has no idea. I'm not planning on telling her because I won't let it happen. I'm not even considering his suggestion. And if he wants to keep saying that I'm the problem, then it's fine with me. I've endured so much for the past years mentally, physically, and emotionally, and now it won't be much different. Why do you want to have babies with this man? You can have babies with anyone else, but this guy is not husband or father material. First of all, I'm very sorry you are dealing with this. Nobody should ever have to feel this way. Second, I really hope and pray that you see this for what it is, and not allow him to guilt you into something you clearly do not want. I'm angry for you, because there's no way in hell that would just blow over with me personally. It's such an insensitive thing to say during such a difficult situation. I feel terrible as it is, and did not need to have to deal with this on top of everything else going on. I lost my mom a month ago and my emotions have been all over the place. I admit that I can get upset and agitated pretty easily, but his suggestion was beyond shocking. I feel like me and him just keep diving deeper into more issues that have significantly affected our marriage. I offered couples counseling, but he said no. I feel like the universe has protected you in a way. He is showing so many red flags. Gaslighting you too. Who's to say he isn't the one with the issues? It is not your fault. None of this is. I'm so sorry for your loss with your mother. I wish you the very best ahead in life, whatever you choose to do. Now for the last story. My boyfriend expects me to do majority of the housework even though I work double his hours. How do I resolve this without an argument? Background. I'm 30 female, he's 38 male. We've been together for 7 years and have lived together for 2. Throughout the 7 years we've been together, I have consistently worked full-time. He, on the other hand, is on and off with work and hasn't lasted for longer than 4 months in a job. I would say in total, he's worked perhaps 1.5 years in our relationship. The house we live in is his. It has no mortgage as his dad paid it all. We split the bills, but I would say in total I have contributed more financially if we are including socializing, holidays, groceries. One thing he has always done while being unemployed is cook for us almost daily, once a day as we do 1 meal a day, and take the trash out. He also did laundry once a week. I did dishes, bathroom, and other stuff. To be fair, it's a relatively small house, and just the 2 of us, so there's not a massive amount to do. I was really happy with this arrangement because having healthy food cooked every day took a massive mental load from my mind. I had no complaints. The issue is 6 weeks ago, he got a part-time job, 20 hours a week. And now we do the cooking 5 out of 7 days a week, plus all of the rest of the housework. The only thing he does is take the bins out once a week and do laundry once a week. I feel like on top of working full-time, it is a lot for me to do alone. The worst part is he will always pick at small, minor things I've forgotten to do or haven't done to his liking. As an example, I cleaned the whole bathroom until it was sparkling and the only thing he said after he saw it was, "You left the soap dish on the wrong side of the bath." This really hurts my feelings as I feel like I'm doing a lot for nothing. No praise, no recognition that I do all of this on top of working double his hours. Sometimes I don't feel comfortable confronting him because part of me feels ashamed about complaining about housework as a woman, almost as if it makes me less of a woman to not be okay with this. I really feel like I'm going crazy because it doesn't even acknowledge the big difference in what we do. What's scary is, we actually have the same dynamic as my parents. My mom did all of the housework and paid all of the bills, while my dad was in and out of work his whole life. I don't want that life. Can someone advise on how I can navigate this without starting an argument? It always becomes an argument. I found this comment you wrote not too long ago. Currently in a draining relationship and having to manage his emotions like he's a toddler. I'm working, paying for majority of stuff and he can't keep a job because he's lazy and impulsive. I felt your comment so hard. Was thriving when I was single. So the housework is just the tip of the iceberg. What exactly keeps you with this loser besides inertia? He brings nothing to the table. He brings free rent. Can't see much else. So it's simply a math issue of if it's better for Opie to move out, pay rent and be chore happy, or stay put as the free housing is worth more than the extra chores. I expect she is in the same predicament as many people living in this manner, where she may not be able to cover a place like this on their own salary. If she can, she should be off this forum and packing her stuff. I expect her feet are financially glued to the place, if you get my drift. This might make me sound stupid, but I'm actually not financially glued to him. My mom lives down the road and my room is waiting for me. She would also value me contributing to that household again. I also have savings, so could put down 50% on a house deposit if I were to get into a relationship with someone willing to put in the other half. In the meantime, I would be happy living with my mom as it's a big house and we have a good relationship. I know, this makes me sound even more silly for staying. It sounds like you know the answer here. Hey, your boyfriend dropped these red flags. No, seriously, he's a douche canoe, and you need to find a new boyfriend. He sucks and is a horrible human being. Or even, I know this sounds crazy, be single for a bit. Opie hasn't been single since she was 23. Depending on if she went to college, she's been with this guy potentially her entire adult life. Opie, it's hard to imagine, but you don't have to be with someone if you don't have great reasons for why you still want to be with him. Thanks for understanding. Sometimes it's so hard to try to explain why I can't leave when we have no practical ties. I did go to college, but got with him almost immediately after. I'm very laid back and fun-loving, but he's very intense and dominating. I feel like since I was very young, he's just gotten into my head massively to the point where a lot of his ideas and thoughts have become mine. It was only when I got to around 28 that I started understanding why someone with his personality is so attracted to someone with my personality. If I'm completely honest, I know deep down what's happened here and the situation I'm in. It's just so freaking hard to entangle my psyche from him, almost like my brain is in quicksand. I think the first step would be confiding in someone close to me because I've never done that. Ashamed and embarrassed. Update. Last year, boyfriend 33 male quit his job without telling me and now he refused to look for another job. I'm 31 female, tired of paying for everything. Original post. My boyfriend 33 male quit his job last year without telling me. I only found out 2 days before the rent was due, as we split everything 50-50 when I asked him for his part of the rent. When I asked, he simply told me he quit because he was tired of working at that place. Since then, I've been paying for everything, including rent, food, gas, bills, and anything he needs. I had to work 2 jobs while going to school for a while. It was hard, but I finally finished school a couple months ago and I found my dream job. I make enough to live comfortably, even take care of my boyfriend and still have money for savings. However, I still want him to get a job to support himself because I think as an adult, he needs a job. But I feel like he relies on me too much, and he thinks since my job pays well, he doesn't have any reason to work. He always says things like, "You make good money now, so maybe you could buy me my dream car," or "You should open a business for me to run." It bothers me a lot. I don't mind supporting my partner financially if there's a legit reason that prevents him from working, but it's not the case. He spends most of his time playing games, meeting up with friends, or just at home watching movies. I still have to do all the chores and take care of our dogs. His family thinks that he's been working to take care of me so that I can finish school, which is not true. Now they think I was able to finish school and got a good job all because of him. I don't even want to explain to them. I just want him to get a job and have a future. But when I try to talk to him, he told me I'm not being supportive, and now that I have a good job, I look down on him. What should I do? Is it even worth it to try to talk some sense into him? I don't want to start dating at this age, but I feel like I can't keep doing this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You break up with him. He's not a partner. He's a freaking leech. Stop trying to control him and control what you can. Break up. Kick him out or move out. Find someone worthy of you. This. Stop being his sugar mama. You are incentivizing his laziness. Give him a hard deadline to resume paying his half of the bills. And if he fails, give him 30 days to move out. You can continue dating him when he's living in his own place, but I don't know why you would want to. Wow, you leave. You don't have a boyfriend. You have a dependent. Of course he's not getting a job. Why would he? You have proven to him that he doesn't need to because he's got a sugar mama. Him saying that you look down on him? It's manipulation. He wants you to feel bad. Supportive of what? Him sitting around playing games? Leave. Dating can actually be fun, and you can't want this for the rest of your life. I did feel bad when he said that, and he does that all the time. Every time I bring up something, he would start talking about how miserable his life is, and how I just make it worse. I admit that I stayed till now because I feel bad. And no, I don't want this for the rest of my life. I will move on and hopefully find someone who cares. Next time he tells you how miserable his life is, say, "Okay, I'm going to help with that and leave." Or make him leave, since he doesn't help/pay for anything. Also, you should correct his family's belief that he supported you through school. Don't perpetuate the lie that he is supporting you. You can do so much better. He's not a partner. I will have a talk with him this afternoon to tell him it's time to end things and he needs to move out. He will probably give me the "my life is miserable" talk again, but I think reading all these comments makes me realize I should feel bad for myself and not for him. I'm sure once he moves back to live with his family, they will reach out to me to tell me how good he has been treating me and how he helped me through school. They've done it before when I told them things weren't working for us, but I will tell them everything this time. I left an abusive household in a situation very similar to yours, but it went on for much longer, and I only wish I'd left sooner. As for dating at this age, I see you're 31. I met my husband at 34. He's wonderful, and we're happy in a healthy relationship. He has a great job and a small growing business. He does household chores, cooks meals, and is a great father to our child. He is respectful to me and communicates well. I don't look back to that awful, abusive, and manipulative situation from my past nowadays. Don't let this current situation make you quit your own future and miss out on the happiness you deserve. Also, what his family thinks is irrelevant. Please don't stay in this. You're allowing yourself to be used and harmed. There's only misery ahead unless you realize you need to end it. It's better on the other side, free of this. Your comment gives me hope. I will probably not gonna date for a while after this, but just knowing that there's a chance that I can still meet someone who loves me really helps me feel better about my situation. I think once I resolve this and focus on myself more, I will be happier. Beside this relationship, everything else is going very well for me. I don't depend on anyone, so nothing will really change, except I will have one less thing to worry about. Thank you for sharing your experience. I'm glad to hear you're in a healthy relationship. Edit/mini update. I didn't expect this many comments. I can't reply to everyone, but I did read all the comments that I really appreciated. Many people have asked, why him? Why stay for years? What did I see in him? So I just want to answer it here. We started off pretty normal. We split everything 50-50, and I had no problem with that. But throughout the years, he started showing his true self. I was in school, and school was the most important thing to me at that point, so I invested all my time and energy into it. I was in a PhD program, so I had stipend of around $30K a year, which was enough for myself, but not for two people. We've been together for 8 years now. After he quit his job, I was very stressed out, but I had to focus on school and tried to do everything I could to survive. I didn't have time to really think about my personal life, and I also didn't want to go through any changes in life, so I just let it be. In addition, he guilt trips me a lot, so I feel bad for him. But now that I have a stable job, I have time to really think about my future, and I don't see myself being with him long term. I don't think it would be as easy as, hey, let's break up, because I know he wouldn't let it go that easy. But I'll start planning to get out. Maybe ask some friends for support. His name is not on the list, so I'll stay where I am and he'll have to move. Now for the full update. It's been 2 months since I posted about my situation on the sub, and I just want to give you an update of how things went after I made that post. Before I go into the details, I just want to say I really appreciate everyone here. After I resolved everything, I occasionally would go back to my original post and read the comments to remind myself that I've done the right thing. After posting on here, I went home from work that day and asked my friends to come over but stay in the parking lot while I sort things out with my now ex-boyfriend. Before I could even start the conversation, he told me his friend got a new car recently and how I should get him a car since I can afford it. I got really upset and told him he could have got himself a car if he was working. I told him how stressful it has been for me with him not working and fully relying on me. He started the "my life is already miserable and you're not being supportive" talk. I was sick of it, so I said I wanted to end things here and he needs to move out ASAP. As expected, he got upset and threw a tantrum. He was yelling, throwing stuff around, and when he realized I was being dead serious, he started threatening to hit one of my dogs. I jumped in between him and the dogs to stop him from harming them. Then he pushed me and grabbed me by my neck. I was able to get him off of me, put the dogs into a room, and called my friends to tell them to come in and call the police. He was trying to hit me, but my friends got there in time. I think he got scared when he saw my friends showed up, so he backed down, but he was still verbally telling them to get out of the way or he would hit them too. The police came, they took him away and told me he wouldn't be able to come into the apartment anymore. He had to move out, but would need to be escorted by the police if he wants to grab his stuff later. It was a horrible experience, but it showed me that I've done the right thing. I thought that was the end of everything, but his auntie called me when she found out and tried to gaslight me saying that he didn't do anything wrong, and I was just upset, so I called the police. I told myself that I no longer have to deal with this BS, so I told her to leave me alone and hung up. His family would continue to harass me, but stopped when I threatened to report them to the police. I continued to pay the rent and bills like how I've always been doing. The only thing that changed is I'm now so much happier. I'm the happiest I've ever been in years. I just got a promotion last week and I've been spending time enjoying life with the extra money I have since I'm no longer having to pay for his expenses. As for my ex, he's moved in with his aunt. I got a protection order, so we are not in contact at all. Wonderful update. Congrats to you. You're strong and capable, and now you can live in peace. Thank you. It feels great to wake up in the morning and don't have to worry about what kind of crap is he going to give me today. And OMG, the extra savings that I have, since I'm not longer financially responsible for a full-grown adult. Sending you an internet mom hug for being so wonderful. We are all glad to read that you have embraced your new life and are enjoying it. Don't forget that you're strong and that your story could help some other internet stranger to make a move to a better life as you did. Thank you. I've realized that all the uncertainties that I had before really don't mean anything. My life is only getting better, and I've received all the support I need from friends and family, and people on Reddit too. I'm so sorry you went through that. No one deserves to feel unsafe in their own home. You did a smart thing, calling your friends and the police. You are strong and so capable of having a fulfilling life that is all your own now. I'm very proud of you. I was expecting an ugly breakup, but not a violent one. I'm glad I had my friends there. Otherwise, I really don't know how things would turn out. I think your story should be a lesson to others. You had no reason to think a freeloader would become an abuser, and yet he did. It's always good to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. If you hadn't had friends on standby, things could have ended much more tragically. I am glad you took precautions. Too many times people assume, yeah, they'll be upset or hurt, but they would never hurt me. I also just thought that I'd have my friends there in case he refuses to leave. I wasn't expecting things to escalate that quickly. You were right. If my friends weren't there, things could have turned out much worse. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not paying my girlfriend's bills? I met my girlfriend 8 months ago. We lived in different cities, but I work remotely, so after doing the long-distance thing for a while and going back and forth between the two cities, she asked me to move in with her, since I don't really have to stay in the city I was. I was very reluctant at first due to the short period of time we were dating for, and the fact that I would be moving into her place, which creates an imbalance of power in the house. However, after she insisted for a while, I decided to move in with her. I am a software engineer making about $140K a year. She's a teacher making $45 to $50K a year. In my own apartment, my rent was $1,400. With utilities, I pay about $1,550 per month. She, on the other hand, rents a house for $2,400 because she has 3 dogs and a cat, and an apartment wouldn't be ideal. She also has a roommate paying half of her rent. I moved in last month, and the deal is I will be paying 2/3 of the bills. The roommate will be moving out soon, and after doing the calculations, my part amounts to $1,700, including utilities. She would pay about $750, which is way less than what she was paying before. For me, it's slightly more, but I don't mind since I make way more than her. However, since I moved in, she kept talking about wanting to be a stay-at-home wife/mom. I always brush it off, but yesterday she told me she hates her job and she won't be renewing her contract with the school, which means she won't have an income. She wants a different job, but she has no idea what she wants to do yet. So, she is counting on me to pay all the bills. She means I would be paying more than $1,000 than when I was living alone. Mind you, that's just for rent and utilities, food not included, and she has 2 big dogs which need taking care of. I could afford it if I wanted to, but I feel like I'm not ready to take care of her yet. And I have plans on saving more money to buy a house and other projects I have. She's not my wife. I don't want to be taking care of her 100%. And to be honest, I would have nothing to show for it either. So I told her I won't be able to pay the bills all by myself, and she made a face as if like I am being cheap. But now I feel like the whole reason she wanted me to move in so bad was because she wanted a backup plan for when she quits her job. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay everything? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Pack up and leave now. This, 100% this. Not a-hole and get the heck out while you can. This was her plan all along. Before she gets pregnant. That's what I said. Her next move is to baby trap him, so she can mooch as long as possible. And don't even have goodbye sex. Don't give her the remotest possible chance of getting pregnant. But now I feel like the whole reason she wanted me to move in so bad was because she wanted a backup plan for when she quits her job. You aren't her backup plan. You are the plan. Find someone naive enough to move in and start paying part of her bills. Then, spring on said person that roommate is out. And you take on responsibility for supporting her because you are too timid to GTFO. She's got some cheek, and you've got some pretty low basic street skills. Not a-hole. Next step, she'll baby trap him. Exactly. This is a classic tactic among predatory women who are looking for a guy to use as a personal ATM. Yeah, the fact that she wanted OP to move in so quickly is alarming. Just that fact alone doesn't necessarily mean ulterior motives. We've all gotten swept up in the honeymoon phase. But the fact that it worked out that she'd be paying less than she was before definitely raised my eyebrow. And then just straight up moving to, I'm gonna quit my job and be a stay-at-home partner, cements it. She's absolutely the type that would try and baby trap someone. Also, this might make me an a-hole, but I'd really struggle with a spouse wanting to be a house spouse or stay-at-home spouse. If we were parents, that's entirely different. But if there's no kids, I'm sorry. If I have to work, then so do you. Ideally, the stay-at-home partner does work, but at home. They handle the meal planning, shopping, cooking, laundry, and majority of the cleaning. Keeping a house going is a lot of work. It's also something that should be decided before moving in together when possible. Not a-hole.